Dear viewers, you are welcome in the biology classes of Dr. P.K. Verma. Today, I shall discuss the mechanism of fertilization in women up to their implantation in the uterus. So, first of all, we should start with insemination. Semen is discharged deeper in the vagina. When the female feels orgasm, her fallopian tubes and the vagina start working as a suction pump. So the semen is sucked into cervix. Now, there are as many as 200 to 300 million sperms. If ejaculated after 4 days of abstinence and the semen volume is 5 to 6 ml, only 100 million can cross through inner opening of cervix and come into uterus. It is why, because the cervix is full of mucus and a large number of dead cells or weaker cells are filtered or trapped by this mucus layer present in the cervix. Only the healthy sperms can cross this mucus layer and come to uterus. Now in uterus, the sperms move upward and enter into fallopian tubes. In this journey, most of them die or lagged behind, and only a few successfully reach proximal end of fallopian tube, where in the isthmus ampullary junction they can meet the ovum. Now, the ovum is released on 14th day. At this time, it is in secondary oocyte stage, that is meiosis II is not completed. It is taken into fallopian tubes by the action of fimbria present at the opening, and they reach in the fallopian tube on 16th day. The ovum moves inwards and comes to the middle part on 17th or 18th day. So if insemination is done one day before ovulation or one day after ovulation, the sperms can reach to this isthmic fundus junction on 17th-18th day. The best sperms can pass across corona radiata and they also pass through a protective layer known as zona pellucida. After crossing corona radiata and zona pellucida, the sperms can come in contact of the ovum. Now, a sperm-ovum interaction with the help of anti-fertilizing on the surface of a sperm head and fertilizing molecules on the surface of ovum takes place. The sperm membrane fuses with plasma membrane of ovum and the male pronucleus, it is haploid, is transferred into ovum. It has to wait in one side for some time because the nucleus of ovum is not ready to fertilize. Now ovum releases some protective chemicals to form a fertilization membrane that prevents entry of another sperm, and therefore the ovum can fertilize with only one sperm. Fusion of male pronucleus and female pronucleus takes some time because the secondary spermatocyte has not completed meiosis II. After the second polar body separates, that is meiosis II is completed, ovum becomes ready for fertilization. Its nucleus becomes haploid, and therefore the male and female pronuclei can fuse together. Such nuclear fusion is known as amphimixis, and the zygote is formed. So again, you have to remember that a sperm can reach ovum, transfer its nucleus into ovum on the very 16th day, but the function of fertilization, that is nuclear fusion, is completed on 18th day. So now from here we shall calculate day 1 after fertilization. Not 16th day, 17th day, 18th day, rather day 1 will be counted after fertilization. Now movement of sperm into the fallopian tube is a tough function. It is not an easy process because there is very high competition among the spermatozoa. You can view these things
Fertilization is the epic
in this
story of a single
video
sperm
provided
facing
by
incredible odds to
Nucleus,
unite with an egg and
the
form
medical
human
media
life. It is the story
in the
of
youth.
all of us. During sexual intercourse, about 300 million sperm enter the vagina. Soon afterward, millions of them will either flow out of the vagina or die in its acidic environment. However, many survive because of the protective elements provided in the fluids surrounding them. Next, the sperm must pass through the cervix, an opening into the uterus. Usually, it remains tightly closed, but here the cervix is open for a few days while the woman ovulates. The sperm swim through the cervical mucus, which is thinned to a more watery consistency for easier passage. Once inside the cervix, the sperm continues swimming toward the uterus, though millions will die trying to make it through the mucus. Some sperm remain behind, caught in the folds of the cervix, but they may later continue the journey as a backup to the first group. Inside the uterus, muscular uterine contractions assist the sperm on their journey toward the egg. However, resident cells from the woman's immune system, mistaking the sperm for foreign invaders, destroy thousands more. Next, half the sperm head for the empty fallopian tube, while the other half swim toward the tube containing the unfertilized egg. Now, only a few thousand remain. Inside the fallopian tube, tiny cilia push the egg toward the uterus. To continue, the sperm must surge against this motion to reach the egg. Some sperm get trapped in the cilia and die. During this part of the journey, chemicals in the reproductive tract cause the membranes covering the heads of the sperm to change. As a result, the sperm become hyperactive, swimming harder and faster toward their destination. At long last, the sperm reach the egg. Only a few dozen of the original 300 million sperm remain. The egg is covered with a layer of cells called the corona radiata. The sperm is pushed through this layer to reach the outer layer of the egg, the zona pellucida. When sperm reach the zona pellucida, they attach to specialized sperm receptors on the surface, which triggers their acrosomes to release digestive enzymes, enabling the sperm to burrow into the layer. Inside the zona pellucida is a narrow, fluid-filled space just outside the egg cell membrane. The first sperm to make contact will fertilize the egg. After a perilous journey and against incredible odds, a single sperm attaches to the egg cell membrane. Within a few minutes, their outer membranes fuse and the egg pulls the sperm inside. This event causes changes in the egg membrane that prevent other sperm from attaching to it. Next, the egg releases chemicals that push other sperm away from the egg and create an impenetrable fertilization membrane. As the reaction spreads outward, the zona pellucida hardens, trapping any sperm unlucky enough to be caught inside. Outside the egg, sperm are no longer able to attach to the zona pellucida. Meanwhile, inside the egg, the tightly packed male genetic material spreads out. A new membrane forms around the genetic material, creating the male pronucleus. Inside, the genetic material reforms into 23 chromosomes. The female genetic material, awakened by the fusion of the sperm with the egg, finishes dividing, resulting in the female pronucleus, which also contains 23 chromosomes. As the male and female pronuclei form, spiderweb-like threads called microtubules pull them toward each other. The two sets of chromosomes join together, completing the process of fertilization. At this moment, a unique genetic code arises, instantly determining gender, hair color, eye color, and hundreds of other characteristics. This new single cell, the zygote, is the beginning of a new human being. And now the cilia in the fallopian tube gently sweep the zygote toward the uterus, where he or she will implant in the rich uterine lining, growing and maturing for the next 9 months until ready for birth.
So you have seen how through a difficult journey the sperms reach fallopian tube and fertilize the ovum, and how the fusion of two pronuclei, the male pronuclei and female pronuclei, each containing 23 chromosomes, take place in the fallopian tube. Now just after nuclear fusion, within an hour, the zygote undergoes a metabolic change. Its metabolic activity increases. Some new proteins and ATP are formed that control a regular cell division that is known as cleavage division. During cleavage, the number of cells increases, but the size of daughter cells does not increase, that is, there is no growth phase in these daughter cells. Zygote rolls down the fallopian tube with the help of ciliary movement, and cleavage begins on second day, that is just after 1 day of fertilization. On the 18th or 19th day of the cycle, 4 cell stage and then 18 cell stage, that is on the 3rd and 4th day, the 8 cell stage is formed. It is known as morula. Morula is a solid cell ball, but then the cells are displaced outwards, forming an space in between them, that is a blastocele is formed, and therefore its name is blastula. The blastula enters into uterus on 18th or 19th day and forms the blastocyst. That is, after fertilization, within 3 days, 8 cell stage is formed, and the cell ball, morula and blastula, move down into uterus. In blastocyst, further development takes place, and 2 distinct regions, in one side embryoblast and in another side trophoblast layers are formed. Embryoblast towards the animal pole and trophoblast towards the vegetal pole. Now see the diagram. In this diagram, the first figure in upper row shows unfertilized egg. It is then fertilized and a zygote is formed. So after fertilization, this is the zygote. Now cleavage starts, 2 cells and 4 cell stages, and finally the 8 cell stages are formed. When the number of cells increases 8 to 16, 16 to 32, an empty space is formed inside it. This space represents the yolk sac, and in this ball, the 2 parts have different structures. In the next stage, 2 layers will be formed here, hypoblast and epiblast, and the lower trophoblast will form the attachment site in the uterus. So come to see the whole diagram. This oocyte is released. On what day? On 14th day and come into uterus on 16th day. These are the finger-like fimbria that take oocyte into the fallopian tube. On 0 day, that means the day when fertilization, that is sperm enters into ovum, take place. It is anterior part of the fallopian tube. Now, next day, the female nucleus and the male nucleus both become haploid and they fuse together to form the zygote. So, after sperm entry, fertilization takes place 1 day later on 17th day. Now, when number 1 day is counted on 17th day, next day 2 cell stage, 4 cell stage, on 3rd or 4th day there are 8 cell stage and it moves into the uterus. So on 4th day it enters into uterus. In uterus you see the endometrium where the blastocyst is being attached. Here you see the blastocyst is attached on the wall of endometrium and the blastocyst is forming a small villi-like structure, that is the primary villi. Later on secondary and tertiary villi will be formed. The trophoblast has property of being able to digest the uterine epithelium, and its cells have the capacity to eat up other cells. That is when the blastocyst becomes attached to the surface of endometrium. All cells coming in the way of the trophoblast are digested and resolved. They can therefore invade and burrow into tissue with which they come in contact. So they themselves can penetrate into the wall of the uterus and passing across the endometrium, they come into the connective tissue where the blood vessels are present. Implantation therefore occurs on 7th or 8th day of fertilization, that is on 23 to 25th day. With implantation, some signal is passed to ovaries and hypothalamus that stops the next cycle, and the woman knows that she is conceived. So it is all about fertilization. Now we shall discuss the blastocyst formation and implantation in greater details, and how the placenta is formed for supply of nutrient to the fetus and up to final development of the fetus. Thank you very much.